In the last video, we established the floor slab for the first floor and the, of course, ceiling or cover for the basement. Now we're going to come in and put the floors and the roof in the next 3 videos. And we're also going to put the beams in that hold that up, as well as any secondary structure. So let's get to it. The first thing, normally when you're constructing something, you would come in and you would put the girders and then the beams in before you would put the floor in. But when you're drawing it in Revit, sometimes it's much easier to put the floor in first, and you'll see why as I go through and explain. So we're going to go, let's minimize that for right now, and let's look at here. And you can see right up here, this is our finished floor. And the finished floor usually refers to the finish of the concrete of the structure and not the finish material such as carpet or tile or whatever that might be. Okay, so that's to the finished floor of the structure, not the finishing of the floor. And so we're going to put that our floor, the top of it here, and it's going to go down. And because it's going to go down a certain amount of distance, that means our beams and girders are not going to be at the top of our columns or at the finished floor level, right? And that's what I was talking about. So it's easier to put that floor in first here. So let's do it. Let's go into floors. Oops, we're not in the right view, so it's telling us you need to be in a plan view to do this. And so we're going to open up, since this is the second floor, we're going to open up the second floor plan. And now we should, when we click on this, we shouldn't get that arrow statement. And floor architectural, okay, and then floor structural. And we're going to do floor structural. And then we're going to come in here, and you'll see several different types of floors in the generic set. One is lightweight concrete on 2-inch metal deck, okay, and I'm going to select that concrete and metal deck. And then let's go in and look at this type, and let me explain a little bit about this. Okay, so I'm going to go in here and say edit type, and then I'm going to go in and edit the structure of that type. Okay, and there's 2 or 3 things you'll see here. First of all, you'll see a structural deck has been put in here. That's the metal deck itself. Okay, and if I click on that metal deck, notice these go from, if I'm clicked on concrete, these are grayed out because they don't apply to the concrete lightweight. But if I click on metal deck, these 2 things apply right here. And that's the reason is because the way the metal deck is created, if I open the preview, okay, so let's open the preview, and maybe I can size this down so it all gets in here. If I open up the preview, right now thick lines are on. Let's see, I don't know how to turn thick lines off here. Let's cancel out of this, cancel out of that, and let's go back to, let's turn thin lines on and go back in now. Yeah, okay, that solved that problem. So make sure that you have the thin lines on so you can see this better. And then we're going to go into edit, and we're going to look at this, and you can see this right here is the metal deck, and that's created by extruding along a direction a profile. Okay, simple 3D modeling. And so this profile, this deck profile here, defines the shape that it should extrude, therefore the depth of the deck. And in this case it's 2 inches. This is a 2-inch, and there are a variety of different profiles. I'm not going to get into creating profiles in this video or selecting them. We're just going to use existing profile. Okay, and also you'll see here then metal deck as a material. So if I click on the material, and you'll see that metal deck's been chosen, and of course it's so thin there's no cut pattern, and they it's usually covered up, so there's no surface pattern. But you'll see in appearance, if it's rendered, it renders this galvanized steel looking thing, or steel looking material. And of course, if it's been done, there are physical properties. It's been given a thermal, some mechanical, the strength of it, so it can be used. This material can be used actually in finite analysis of the structure. And we're going to say OK to that. I just wanted to show you that. And then we've got the structure here, which is another structural element, lightweight concrete. And once again, it's a material. That material is already made to lightweight concrete. It is cut, so it has a surface pattern and a cut pattern and exposed. And then, of course, it has a rendering appearance pattern. And once again, it's got some physical properties too, so it could be used as a part of the calculation. You'll notice one thing you'll notice here is the metal deck. Okay, you can't select the depth of the metal deck, and that's because that's defined by the extrusion here. Okay, that's defined by the extrusion. So the extrusion already defines this as a 2-inch metal deck. But the lightweight concrete can be defined, and for instance, if I wanted to go up to 6 inches, I could put 6 inches in there. Let's hit return. Notice my concrete increased. Okay. The other thing that I want you to notice about this is that there is, along with the deck profile in the structural deck, there's a deck usage. Okay, and there's bound layer above, and there's standalone deck. So if I click on standalone deck, notice that the concrete moves to the top. Now we're going to use this when we start to do our roof. Okay, so notice the metal deck doesn't come in, but all 6 inches of the concrete is above the metal deck. If I go beyond bound layer, so it's bound by the metal deck, now we still have 6 inches of concrete, but a portion of that concrete is cut out for the deck. So this is 6 inches from here to here. So just something to know about this particular type of material and decking surface. And so we're going to say OK to that. And we're going to say now OK to this. Oh, it's not 3-inch. Let's go back in. I changed that to 6. Okay. And notice it's called a 3-inch deck because deck effectiveness is measured from here to here. Okay. So if this is 5-inch, so we have 5 inches metal deck. We're excited now. We have now a decking material to put in there. We're going to apply this, say OK. And we're ready now to define where we're going to put that metal deck. And so I'm going to zoom in here. We're in the structural level. I'm going to zoom in here. And we really can't see it. The outside in this view, if we went to level 2 here, we would see this outside edge of the first floor. And of course, this is where our wall is going to go. So right now, we don't want to take that flooring all the way into the wall area. So what we're going to do is we know that it'll probably go at least up to the edge of the structure. Now if you go into this view and you can't see the columns, that means you've got thick lines on, or you've got your coarse setting set to coarse, and all you're seeing is lines here, and those are of course center lines. So I'm going to turn this on to medium. Make sure this is medium, thin lines are on so I can see it, and now I'm going to create the deck. And so I'm going to go in here, and it'll allow me to snap to that corner, and then I'm going to scroll down all the way to the other side and snap there. Now you'll see that some locks appeared, so I'm going to lock this. Okay, and so what I'm doing is I'm locking it now to the objects. That means as those columns move, or the surfaces that I set to, if those surfaces move, then the surface is going to move with it. Okay, that one doesn't seem to have locked, so let's come back. When you move, well, I guess it needed just 3 sides to lock. It should be locking there. Let's align this. We're going to go align to that surface, this, and now the lock appears. Okay, so we didn't have it aligned before, and it didn't know what to lock to. So it's a good experience there. The next thing you'll notice that when I put this down, okay, there's some lines here. And those lines represent the direction of the deck. In other words, in direction, that's the direction in which it's the strongest. And of course, what it has to do is go perpendicular to any secondary structure, joist, or beams that might be placed in here, right? So what we're going to do is, and it happens to be correct, in other words, because we want it actually going, the decking going this way, the joist going this way, and of course the beams and girders will go in the direction of our grid. And so what we're going to do is, if we wanted to change it and make it go this direction, then all we have to do is go here and span direction and select the line that we wanted that span direction in. Okay, so we're going to keep this though because that's correct. We've got the boundary. The next thing we're going to do is make sure I check the level. Okay, it's going to be at the finish 4 level, so always check that. That's one thing when you're modeling. Check where your Z dimension is here. Okay, because this defines Z, and of course the deck will be drawn below. Okay, it defaults to below. So from the top down is where it's going to be drawn, and I'm going to say OK. And it should have put in that metal deck for me. And since my span is going this way, notice that if we go to our section now that we've used before, okay, that, see, there's the metal deck, but we're cutting with the trough of the deck, and there's our concrete up on top of it with its concrete pattern. And notice also it's located at the finished floor. Okay. Now, since the total of this is 5 inches, we're going to put our beams 5 inches below this, so our beams and our girders, and that's in the next video.